Hello everybody, my name is Zach, aka the Weather Gaming Gamer, bringing you WWC, the World Weather Cup, Week 6/7 standings, kill leaders, and transactions. I know it's been a while since I brought one of these videos to you guys. What ended up happening was Week 6 we had 2 matches get delayed. So at that point I didn't feel like there was any real need to bring a recap video for week 6 with so many matches being delayed between the last week we actually played a full week and the bye week. Week 7 was the bye week, and all of those matches did get made up. So I just decided to combine the standings and get ourselves to one combined video for week 6, week 7. Everyone's played their 6 games, and we're back on track to finish the season. However, unfortunately, there's been a major shakeup over the 2 weeks since I last brought you a video. We lost Giron and the Lichen Rocks, a while back, and since then we didn't lose any coaches. However, during these 2 weeks, between week 6 and the bye week, we ended up losing a third of the league. A third of the league had to withdraw for coaches. So here are the coaches that have left. Little Penguin and the Chicago Claunchers had to withdraw. Nikki is taking over with the Houston Hydragons to fill that slot. Penguin just has so much going on with schooling and all that he just needed to withdraw, which I respect. School is much more important than a Pokemon League. The Louisiana Lux Rays and Cheshire the Cat also had to withdraw again for... Sorry, I'm going to open a new tab here because I need to make sure I don't screw up these next two. Just her life she's moved and adjustment and all that. So she has unfortunately had to drop out as well. Chess, also known as Ben, is taking over with the Rio Rufflets. The NB Garchomps and Galactic Damien have had to withdraw as well from the league for school reasons as well, same as Little Penguin. That other guy, Ben, is taking over for the Garchomps with the Vancouver Victinis. Finally, the most shocking of the drops in my mind was Fizzle the Hizzle and the first place Tampa Bay Weasels. He literally messaged me on the evening of week 7 ending and week 8 beginning to say that he needed to drop out. He's dropped out in multiple leagues across his plate. He's just got so much going on with his life, he can't handle all the leagues, and so he needed to drop out. That way he could focus on school and some of the other more professional leagues, is how I'm going to call them. Not to say that this isn't a professional league, it's just this league is nothing compared to like a GBAD league or something like that. Something that's more cutthroat and competitive. So I can understand why Fizzle backed out and had to leave between school and his other leagues that he joined before this league. And there's no hard feelings. All of the coaches that have left, while it's sad to see you guys leave, I can understand it, and I'm not going to hold a grudge against any of you. And you are all welcome to come back for Season 2 of WWC if you would like. Otherwise, it has been a pleasure battling with you guys, and I will catch you guys around in the Discord server, because I know all 4 of the coaches that did drop are in the main Weather Gamer Discord server, which the link will be in the description down below, as usual. Replacing Fizzle is Music Greninja and the Chicago Zeraoras. So while we lose the Claunchers, we gain the Zeraoras, keeping our 2 Chicago teams alive. But yeah, so unfortunately, we lost those 4 coaches. Luckily, we had 4 more coaches to pick up, and the league keeps on rolling. And hopefully, we can make it to the end of the season, get playoffs played for you fans, and we can enjoy it moving forward. So with that sad bit of business out of the way, let's move into the standings. The West Texas Leafeons are currently sitting at 1-5, minus 22 in 12th place. Unfortunately, Mama Nation, the Leafeons suffered their third 6-0 of the season at the hands, I believe it was the Rufflets here, but I'm pulling up my notes as I speak. That's one thing I need to work on, is not being so disorganized when I'm doing this. Here, come on. Yes, the Rio Rufflets handed Mama Nation another 6-0 loss. This was one of 2 games that Mama Nation had to make up. Just not her own fault, just scheduling issues. Or no, she only had 1 to make up. This is the 1 game she had to make up. Just scheduling issues with the Lux Rays that prevented her. So 1-5, minus 22, last place. No team is out of playoff contention at this point. If if the West Texas Leafeons win out and one of the top 6 teams loses out, or the teams in front of the Leafeons stumble, they can make it in as the 6th seed. Same goes for any of the teams not currently sitting in playoffs. Nobody is officially mathematically ruled out of playoffs yet. It's just going to take colossal lifting to get into the playoffs. Also sitting at 1-5, minus 18, the Parenque Polyraths. They lost 5-0 to the Dutch Pyroars in week 6, and they did not have a match to make up as far as I remember. Again, they are not eliminated from playoffs yet. They just need to start winning out and pushing it hard to get there. Houston High Dragons, Nikki took over. I believe they took over right after. Yes. They took over for. Let's see. Who is we? Right. They took over for Penguin before Little Penguin played, and the Claunchers played their Week 6 match. So they played their Week 6 match against Galactic Damien and the NB Garchomps, and after that match, the Garchomps decided to withdraw from the league. But congratulations to the Dragons. They have officially picked up their first one of the season. And with that, every team in the league has a win. I know the Lux Rays, before they bowed out, were winless. However, we're going to get to them here on the next slide. Their replacement coach picked up a win in order to get them out of the winless column. So everybody's got a win, which is great in my books. At least everybody's gotten a chance to get their win, that no one's getting shut out this season. Moving into the next set of 3, the Rio Rufflets, 1-5, minus 12 in 9th place. The Rio Rufflets are coached by Chess. He is the one that took over for Cheshire the Cat, and decisively got their first win of the season by beating the West Texas Leafeons 6-0. They did lose their Week 5 match that they had to make up to the Copenhagen Cacturns 3-0. So they are 1-5. However, they are still alive. Moving into 8th place, we have the Vancouver Victinis, coached by that other guy, parentheses Ben, taking over for the Garchomps after the Garchomps played their Week 6 match. So the Vancouver Victinis have not actually played a match yet under Ben, or the other guy Ben's play yet. So it'll be interesting to see how he turns this around at 2-4, winning out. Especially with his schedule, he still has matches against the now Chicago Zera Auras, the Baltimore Murkrows, myself and the Chicago Bearticks, the Dutch Pyroars, and the Ottawa Centrets. All teams that are sitting in places above the Victinis. The Victinis were to win out that slate, put themselves at 7-4, and they would leapfrog the Bearticks for sure to get into 7th, and would actually, potentially, depending on differential, they could leapfrog the Ottawa Centrets and get themselves into 6th place as well. So, they are definitely well within it. They just need to basically beat the teams and win out ahead of them, or beat the Centrets and myself, and have each of us lose one more game with the Bearticks. That way they can get into that 6th seed. Moving into the 7th seed, we have the Chicago Bearticks at 3-3 -8. I have the worst differential of the teams that are sitting on the outside looking in, and of the teams that are in the 6th and 5th position. Differential is a big issue that needs to be worked on for the Chicago Bearticks. We picked up a 1-0 victory over the Dutch Pyroars to make us -8. That still doesn't... That helps, but it's not enough. Some victories against upcoming teams with big differential wins is going to be crucial in getting the differential buried out and getting into playoffs. So far, the only team that is ahead of the Bearticks at this point is the Os Dragonites left for the Bearticks to play. Otherwise, the Bearticks are playing teams in the bottom half of the league. So that win against the Os Dragonites may be the difference between playoffs and not playoffs, or a win against any of these teams down low could be the deciding factor. Moving into our playoff spot, and this is wrong. Sorry about the live edit again. I thought I had this changed, and I didn't. There we go. So currently in 6th position, 3-3 +8 completes 16. It's a 16-point differential swing between the 6th and 7th place teams. We have the Ottawa Centrets at 3-3 +8. The Centrets lost their Week 6 match to the Baltimore Murkrows 1-0, putting them down to 3-3. They still have matches against the Copenhagen Cacturns in 5th, as well as the Dutch Pyroars in 4th. Those are going to be two critical games to play in determining playoff order and who makes playoffs and who doesn't. If the Centrets win out, they're sitting in very good position for playoffs. If they stumble, they could easily find themselves falling out of playoff contention and being forced to look in, trying to figure out how they get in. Sitting in 4th place, we have or 5th place, we have the Copenhagen Cacturns, coached by Matthias, 4-2. I believe they had a makeup match. Yes, they had a makeup match that they had to play against what would have been the Louisiana Luxrays and is now the Rio Rufflets. They won that match 3-0, and then the following week lost to the Os Dragonites 4-0. Sitting at 4-2 +5, that's very respectable record, very respectable differential. They are sitting very well in control of their fate for getting into playoffs. At 4-2, I believe 8 wins is going to be enough for teams to get in with 5 matches to go. 8 wins should be enough. It depends. If the Centrets or the Bearticks lose one more match, 8 wins is enough to guarantee you a playoff spot, because none of the other teams behind the Centrets or the Bearticks can get to 8 wins. So the first teams to get to 8 wins are guaranteed spots into playoffs. In the case of the Cacturns, they need to win 4 matches. In the case of same for the next couple of teams as well, will need to win 4 matches. Or if the Centrets lose this week, if the Pyros beat the Centrets this week and the Rio Rufflets beat myself and the Chicago Bearticks this week, 7 wins will guarantee a team a spot in the playoffs. Or no, 8 wins will definitely guarantee a spot in playoffs. 2 losses would make it 7. That's what I was trying to do. It's a little late to be doing math. It's 10:09 p.m. at time of recording this video. 4th place, the Dutch Pyros, 4-2 plus 6. Very gut-wrenching loss. I know that Torn was very unhappy about losing the match. I did not feel good in the way I won that match. We had our makeup match from week 4. That was posted yesterday. You can go take a look at it if you want. Luckily, it was a 1-0 loss for the Pyros, so they managed to keep differential. Nice. It's always good to have positive differential, but sitting at 4-2 with +6 is also good because it keeps them in the 4th position instead of tied for 5th. Moving into our top 3, which has not changed since week 5. We have the Baltimore Murkrows at 4-2 plus 12, sitting in 3rd. The Murkrows won their week 6 matchup 1-0 against the Ottawa Centrets. It was a very heavily influential in playoffs. The Baltimore Murkrows moved to 4-2, while the Centrets dropped to 3-3. Had it gone the other way, the Murkrows would be finding themselves down in 6th position, fighting to stay in the playoffs. Instead, they're sitting at 4-2 in the top 3 now. So, again, the first teams to 8 wins guarantee themselves playoff spots at this point, just based on differential and records. 8 wins should be enough to get you in. Moving into 2nd place, we have the Aus Dragonites at 6-0, one of 2 undefeated teams, plus 22 in 2nd place. They beat the Copenhagen Cacturns 4-0 in week 6. And finally, they're taking over now, the Chicago Zero-Auras. Fizzle and the Buizels did play their week 6 match, which was against the Bearticks, I believe. Was that week 6? Yeah, which was against the Bearticks. That match has been posted for a while now. You can go back and check it out. They're at 6-0, plus 26, 1st place. We'll see if they can maintain momentum with Fizzle baton passing to Music Greninja. We'll see how this shakes out and how this team rolls moving forward. Let's go ahead and move into the kill leaders. So moving into the kill leaders, 1st place is still the Mega Salamence with 18 kills, 1 death, plus 17. It'll be interesting to see how that's used by Music Greninja. Not much to say about it. Victini, getting its makeup match in, has now jumped back into 2nd position. 11 kills, 2 deaths, plus 9 differential, back in the top 5, moving up from 4th to 2nd over the 2-week time span. The Ottawa Centrets and the Aus Dragonites did not have matches to play, so really, with Victini moving up, it just dropped Magirna and Megalopunny down a slot each. And Megalodios for the Centrets also did not move from week 5's recap going forward. Tapu Lele jumping into 6th position, 7 kills, 0 deaths, plus 7 differential. Cofagrigus continuing to hang around in the top 10, still ever so slowly moving its way out of the top 10 as more Mons come up with more kills. Greninja also staying on the board for the Centrets, 6 kills, 1 death, plus 5. That hasn't changed since the last video recording. Darmanitan with the makeup match back on the board, 6 kills, 1 death, plus 5, tied for 8th with Greninja. And finally, making it onto the board at 10th, we have Heatran at 6 kills, 2 deaths, plus 4. So, common theme here, the Chicago Zeraoras have 3 Mons on the board, the Ottawa Centrets have 3 Mons on the board. Mega Salamence, Magirna, Megalodios, Tapu Lele, all Mons I made unbanned for this league, all in the top 10 kill leaders, which is what I was expecting when the league started. There's a few Mons that still are not up here that I would have thought might have been up here. Obviously, they're Mons that went undrafted, such as Megalodios and Mawile. Let's see here, what else am I looking at? Infernape fell out of the top 10. Latios isn't in the top 10. Mew's not in the top 10. Granted, Mew can be more of a utility Mon. Zeraora, which I thought would be a great kill leader, has not made it onto the board. Mega Kangaskhan isn't on the board. Just interesting to see how things shake out. I don't think Salamence is going to get challenged for that lead, except by Victini and maybe Magirna. We'll see how those Zeraoras deploy Mega Salamence. I know Fizzle's whole strategy was to get Mega Salamence to be the kill leader, so we'll see if that's what continues with Music Greninja as the replacement coach. Okay, about halfway there. Now for the fun stuff, because with all the coaches leaving, we had a slew of transactions occur. After having no transactions, I believe it was in the last video, we didn't have any transactions to report. Now we have a whole slew of transactions. Because each new coach that joined had 8 free agent moves that they could make, 4 for becoming a replacement, plus the 4 that every coach has for the season. Also, free agency will be over at the end of week 8. So when week 8's final matches are played, free agency will be closed, trading will be closed as we go into the last 4 weeks of the league. We will not have free agents or trading done, so teams are trying to get their last minute changes to settle in. So kicking things off, the Baltimore Murkrows using their last free agent move of the season to drop Celesteela for Zygarde. The fact that Zygarde is still sitting around speaks volumes to how this league views the unbanned Mons and all that. I personally was surprised Zygarde didn't get drafted. This thing is a monster with 1,000 waves that can hit flying types and ground them, or levitate users. It's just, this is a nasty, nasty Mon. It can set up with D-Dance, and sweep that way. It can set up with Coil. It can set up with, I'm trying to think of the other setup moves it gets. Regardless, it can set up, it can put up a sub, it can Choice Bandit, it can extreme speed with priority. It's a very good Mon, and I personally am super surprised that it lasted all the way until week 7 before somebody finally grabbed it. Dropping Celesteela, they're losing a bulky, annoying Mon, becoming a little more offensive, losing some of that defense. To me, it seems like this is actually a pretty good trade-off when you consider where the Murkrows currently sit for a team. They're incredibly bulky with not much offense. And so they also had 3 steel types in Steelix, Jirachi, and Celesteela. So this gives them a dragon type, which they were sorely missing, as well as a ground type. So they don't have to bring Steelix every time, and the ground type can absorb the hits for something like Alolan Muck. Next up on the free agent moves, the Os Dragonites making 3 moves. And yes, I know there are 2 Rotoms on here. They made a trade to get one of those Rotoms, so we will discuss that when trading comes. But they drop Rotom standard form to pick up Ariados. They drop Drapion to pick up Seismitoad, and they drop Rotom Wash to pick up Staraptor. Ariados is a very slow sticky web setter. It works pretty well in Trick Room as a powerful thing. It's basically a web setter, a toxic spike setter, hazard setter, that's about it. I don't know what Seismitoad really does off the top of my head. I know it's a good Mon because I've seen A-Drive use it. I just can't remember off the top of my head how good it is and what it does. And Staraptor can be Life Orb Reckless, Brave Birding, Double Edging, it can close combat, it can be Choice Banded. It just does a lot of good things. The Dutch Pyroar is using their last free agent move to drop Tapu Fini for Thundurus Therian form. Thundurus Therian is a very good Mon. It gets Volt Absorbed, so it can take electric hits for the Pyroars, kind of protect a few things that are weak to electric. It's also decently good with speed. You can throw a Specs on it. You can throw a Scarf. It's good special attacker. Can use multiple utility in the form of HPs. And we see the Pyroars finally give up on the Tapus after burning through Tapu Fini and Tapu Bulu for the season. Next up on the moves, the Chicago Zeraora is taking over for the Baltimore Murkrows. Savage didn't leave the league, thankfully. Taking over for the Tampa Bay Weasels, dropping Ditto for Selgor, dropping Chestnut for Porygon Z, and dropping Alolan Persian for Quagsire. I don't know what Porygon Z does. I don't know what Quagsire does off the top of my head. I know a Selgor is a very scary Mon because it is incredibly fast. Base 145 speed, I believe. It can use Sludge Bomb. It can It's got great coverage in Sludge Bomb, Energy Ball, HPs, Bug Buzz. It can set up with Quiver Dance. It is literally a nightmare of a Mon that, even giving it specs, it can run through teams. I'm very scared of this Mon because had Fizzle had this Mon in the matchup versus him and I for week 6, he would have blown me back completely because this thing just runs shop through my team itself. It's bad because it beats Swampert with Energy Ball. It can HP Ground, Zeraora, Sludge Bomb to kill Ninetales. HP Ground takes out Zeraora if it has HP, or not Zeraora, Shandy. HP Fire to take out Escavalier. It's a nasty, nasty Mon. And it's going to be very difficult to play against. The NB Garchomps, this actually should be the Rio Rufflets, but it's not the Rio Rufflets. This move was made by the NB Garchomps. This move was made prior to week 6 by Galactic Damien before he left. He dropped Tangrowth for Gyarados, trying to get rid of some of that bulk for more of the, and it's not the Rio Rufflets, it's the Vancouver Victinis. Get rid of some of that bulk and pick up an Intimidate user. It can also use Moxie as its ability to set up attacks and sweep, or get attack boost as it KOs things and sweep. It can set up Dragon Dance, it can bounce, it can Fly Z, bounce, it can crunch, it can be physical special. It has a whole host of things that it can do, and its overall Gyarados is a very good mon. Next up, Houston Hydreigon. Whoops, sorry. Spoiler alert. Houston Hydreigons, they used 4 moves as a replacement coach, dropping Walrein for Regice, dropping Aeron for Minior, dropping Mega Aerodactyl for Mega Pidgeot, and dropping Scolipede for Sceptile. The Walrein for Regice switch. Regice is a bit bulkier, much higher defensive stat, can take some hits, and still set up the way that Walrein did. Minior is a slept-on monster. In GPC, another league that I was in before it quit, I saw Minior 6-0 a team. Shell Smash Acrobatics is just such a good set. It just runs through teams if you're not careful. Mega Pidgeot has great coverage, great ability in no guard, so Hurricane never misses. You don't have to rely on the rain for the Hurricane. Heat Wave coverage, it can roost, it can defog, it's a great mon overall. It puts offensive pressure on, it's got good utility, it can put in work. And Sceptile with its ability, Superior with its ability Contrary, it can fire off a Leaf Storm, and instead of being -2 special attack, go to +2 special attack. And then just set up and keep Leaf Storming to sweep. I thought I removed that from the playlist. Anyways, it can just come in and do work. This team now has become much more offensive, and still having defensive threats in regular Latios. It's got Bisharp there for support. Rotom Heat, Aromatisse, Blaziken, and Crocodile are all still on the squad from when it was the Chicago Claunchers. So there is plenty of firepower on this team now, and it'll be interesting to see. The Hydreigons picked up their first win. Is this the start of reversing of tides and getting to a 6-5 record? And if so, is that going to be good enough to get them into the playoffs as the 6th seed? Rio Rufflets, they made 8 transactions. This is the first 4 of those transactions. The Rio Rufflets dropped Mega Garchomp for Mega Blastoids, dropped Dragonite for the dropped Celesteela, dropped Empoleon for Crobat, dropped Weavile for Kyurem Black. This team is, with these 4 moves, has become fat and offensive. Mega Blastoids is great with its Mega Launcher ability that make Pulse and Ball moves do more damage to Aurasphere, Dragon Pulse, which gives it good coverage options. It's also very bulky. You can sponge hits. Celesteela, bulky. You can set up a sub Leech Seed and just sit there and sit there and sit there and sit there and just basically bleed you to death. Crobat, very fast, good defogger, poison flying type, Nasty Bat set, very good. Kyurem Black is just a monster. So far, of these 4 moves, we now see Kyurem Black and Celesteela, 2 mons that were spending time on the Baltimore Murkrows, have now joined the Rio Rufflets. You throw a Choice Band or a Scarf, or there's the Roost subset for Kyurem Black. It's just a good utility mon, or multi-set mon that hits super hard. And the Rio Rufflets are now building a very scary team to try and make a run for playoffs. Their next set of moves, they dropped Luxray for Mariana, they dropped Salazzle for Rabombi, and they dropped Sceptile for Bruxish. Mightyana gives them an Intimidate user that also gets Play Rough for coverage. Rabombi can set up sticky webs and then sweep with Quiver Dance, and Bruxish can't get hit by... I think one of its abilities prevents it from being hit by priority moves. The other one boosts Fang-based moves, so Psychic Fangs becomes super effective, Crunch becomes does more damage, and so on. Moving into the the Vancouver Victinis. They pick up Mega Heracross drop Mega Heracross for Mega Pinsir, drop Flygon to pick up the Empoleon that was dropped, drop Regirock for Kyurem, drop Snorlax for Quillfish. Skill Link Heracross with a Choice Band does do quite a lot of damage. I still think Mega Pinsir is the better of the two Megas, but we'll see how Heracross is used. Empoleon is the best defogger in the game. Don't at me. Can set up its own rocks. Water Steel type makes it a good typing for defensive purposes. Can sit there and Scald Burn you. Has a great ability in Defiant, so if someone wants to come in with an Intimidate user, instead of dropping its attack 2 stages or 1 stage, it raises its attack 1 stage. Someone sets up Sticky Webs, this thing gets a boost to its attack. So great ability there. Can run Priority and Aqua Jet. Kyurem can do almost the same thing that Kyurem Black can, just not as hard. And Quillfish can absorb T-Spikes as well as set up its own T-Spikes. Next round of trades made for the Vancouver Victinis. They dropped Ferroseed to pick up the dropped Rotom. They dropped Terrakion to pick up Celebi. They dropped Weezing to pick up Zeraora, and they dropped Lumineon to pick up Cincino. Zeraora is going to be a nightmare to prep for because it can play mind games. It can come in, and you don't know if that's Zeraora or if that's the mon it's disguised at. So playing around that Zeraora is going to be very difficult. It's a nice mind game. It's something I considered during the draft, potentially drafting, and then have just decided against it. And giving Cinccino with Skill Link, another Skill Link mon. Cinccino Tail Slap with a King's Rock to get your 5 hits and potentially flinch. It'll just sit there and flinch you to death. So this team is now being put together very nicely. Remaining on that team is Blacephalon, Gyarados, Claydol, and Tapu Koko. So very offensive team, very defensive team, well-balanced team, plenty of hazard setters and removers, and plenty of ways to make you suffer. The Victinis, coached by that other guy, Ben, have built a very nice team with their 8 moves. Now we're going to move into trades. That was the last of the free agents. Before the Louisiana Luxrays withdrew from the league, Cat agreed to trade Tier 3 Donphan for Roserade. Roserade is good with the ability Technician to boost its HP, hidden power output. It can set up spikes, it can set up T-Spikes, HP Fire, HP Ice, Sludge Bombing, Growth sets. Donphan is a very good mon with that built-in Focus Sash and Sturdy. You can Choice Band it, it gets priority and Ice Shard. It gets Play Rough, Gunk Shot, Earthquake, Stone Edge. So you get priority. It can set rocks. It can remove them with Rapid Spin. It gets great move coverage, and it can be a very good defensive tank, as well as a very good offensive tank. I was very happy to get this. I needed an Earthquaker bad, so I didn't have to keep running a mixed Latios set carrying Earthquake, and so I didn't have to bring Rain every week in order to Earthquake with Swampert. The next trade. The Dutch Pyroars were very, very active in the trades. They were out of free agent moves, but they still made plenty of trades. So the Dutch Pyroars traded Pyroar for Kecleon with Copenhagen Cacturns. They traded Nidoqueen for Silvally with Paranquet Polyraths, and they traded Lycanroc for Diancie with the Baltimore Murkrows. Not really sure why they gave up Nidoqueen. Nidoqueen was doing great for them. But they get Sylveon, which hits incredibly hard with Pixelate to turn normal moves into Fairy-type moves. They get Diancie, which is hugely defensive, as well as having that Fairy Rock type. Granted, Steel types will blow that thing away. And they get Kecleon to... I don't really know. I don't know what Kecleon does a whole lot, giving up Pyroar. So that's their first round of trades. The next round of trades, so we have the Dutch Pyroars and the Dragonite making 3 trades back and forth. So the Dutch Pyroars sent the newly acquired Diancie to the Dragonites for the Seismitoad they picked up. They sent Eevee to the Dragonites for the Ariados they picked up. And then this is where you get the 2 Rotom forms. They send Rotom Wash to the Dragonites for the Reuniclus. So I think what happened here is the Pyroars ran out of free agent moves, wanted to still make some changes and pick up some free agents in Seismitoad and Ariados, and managed to find a trade partner willing to work with them in the Dragonites that went and used a couple of their remaining free agent acquisitions to pick up Mons that they needed, or Mons to trade to the Pyroars, and the Pyroars made trades across the league to get Mons that the Dragonites needed. Having Diancie on the Dragonites just kind of fills in greatly what they needed on the team. They needed something with good defense, but also could hit hard with Diancie. And Diancie doesn't have to really worry about the steel weakness because Infernape can sponge steel hits, Bronzong can sponge steel hits, Ferrothorn takes a steel hit and hurts back with Iron Barbs and Rocky Helmet. So Diancie has plenty of protection from the Dragonites. Eevee, I still don't know why Eevee even got drafted. It never came to a single game for the Pyroars, even though they said they had a fun set for it. Eevee has not come to a single game. I don't know why the Dragonites have it, unless they're going to drop it. They still have 1 free agent move remaining that they could drop Eevee to pick up another Tier 5. Or, yeah, it'd have to be a Tier 5. So I don't know. And Reuniclus is just a very good Mon in Trick Room. It also has great coverage. And yeah. So that's going to be it for week 6 and 7. A lot of changes. A lot of Mons getting picked up and dropped for new coaches. A lot of trade. We had 0 trades happen before this week, and we suddenly had 7 trades go down in week 7. We picked up 4 new coaches. The standings have jostled around a little bit, and we'll see how those new coaches impact the playoff picture and how things are going. It's sad that we lost all those coaches. Hopefully some, if not all, can come back for the next season and join up again. This has been week 6-7 power rankings, kill leaders, and transactions. If you want to meet any of these coaches, the majority of them are in the main Weather Gamer server. I'll link it in the description down below. You can come hang out there. Come hang out with me. Come hang out with all the coaches. All the past coaches are definitely in that server. And I can get you connected with the new coaches if you'd like. As always, thanks for tuning in, and I will catch you guys in the next one.